Oh boy, we have another Tinto Talks to talk about. And this time you can instantly see something very interesting with this lovely new map that we have. Let's have a look at this. This is the granularity that we can see in Anatolia and the Balkans. And instantly I'm seeing things that I like a lot. I will say the province density here, right? So if we remember back to, I believe it was the second Tinto Talks, we were told that the smallest unit of location is called an location. So we've got like Constantinople City, we've got something or other, Montreux. They're a little bit too small to be reading. But if you think about it, these are about as dense as Empire to Rome. Whereas in EU4, this would be one province, if you include probably this many, like 6 locations. So that's very handy, but also you can see there are some more borders for us to look at, and we'll be trying to place these borders in the not too distant future. What I can see instantly is there's a line here, and there's a line going all the way around here, and that kind of reminds me of what the Ottomans kind of had control of in 1340, 1350-ish. So this is very exciting for me. I can also say potentially that, the Byzantines may have still had a foothold over on in Anatolia, certainly over in this area. Maybe Biga is still controlled by them, and also this city down here was also controlled by them. Whereas we can see a nice fat Bulgaria, we can also see a nice fat Serbia. The Serbs will be very happy with EU5, I think, purely due to this being like the era where they were at their strongest, the era of Stefan Dusan, for example. So I think the Serbs are going to be very, very happy with this. And so am I, because this does look kind of incredible. The granularity here, it's not quite up to the level of Imperator, but that's also kind of fine. Let's just zoom in, especially on the Peloponnese here. It's not far away from Imperator, I will say. There's probably maybe another 10 or so in the Peloponnese in Imperator Rome. But this is looking fantastic. But anyway, let's get into the Tinto Talks and talk about it. Overview of the different mechanics of the government part of the game. There will be development diaries going into much more detail for these later on. Nice, okay. So 5 different government types in the game determines a fair bit of what mechanics you get access to. As an example, Republic does not have access to royal marriages. I would say some did, like that was dependent on the type of Republic. I think the Ambrosian Republic was capable of royal marrying, if I remember rightly. But anyway, a step forward is a different view on how war, peace, and conquest works compared to other types of countries. So we have monarchy, republic, theocracy, step horde, and tribe. So it's EU5 then, because this is the same breakdown that we had there. Although I suppose these 5 also fit into a Crusader King. So unless we're making Crusader Kings 4, and I don't know. This is the throne. We're going back to the throne room for CK4. I am very, very convinced that we are getting EU5. So yeah, we got monarchy, republic, theocracy, step hordes, and tribes. These, together with country rank, government reform, and local flavour, gives country names like the Crown of Aragon, Kingdom of Sweden, and Principality of Wales. Not all countries are countries that are based on owning locations on a map, though. More on that in the later dev diaries. Each country also has a ruler. There may be in a regency, if there are no possible adult heirs. I hope we get... one of the things I really want in EU5 is to have some form of family tree. I want to be able. I don't want it to be as detailed as Crusader Kings because you click that button and your PC instantly lags, no matter how strong it is, because it's loading each individual character at the same time or something equally stupid. I just want a family tree with just a simple lines on a lines and words on a paper, right? Make it look like it was designed in the era. Just so I can see, oh, my king has 3 sons, so the hunting accident my very popular, very militarily aware, very administrative, I don't know, a very good first son, he's obviously going to go on a hunting trip and have an accident and die, so it's fine though, because I'm not going to go into a personal union, because I have a second son right here he's a bit slower, but he's fine. I really want that a lot. One of the most defining parts of the government of a country in Project Caesar is the estates mechanic. This has been one of the core parts of the game, with full connection between the population and the estates. Keeping the estates satisfied while keeping their powers low is an important part of the gameplay loop. In this game, the estates are also active entities and will do things on their own if they get enough power. That's awesome. This feels a lot more Mayo and Taxi with regards to estates. They were a lot more powerful and a lot more central when you're playing Mayo and Taxes than they are in EU4. And in fact, EU4's estates, when they changed, I don't know how many people remember the big change to the estates that EU4 went through. I don't remember what the DLC was, but they went a lot closer to what Mayo and Taxes estates were. Just not as detailed, not as in-depth, not as overpowering, I guess. But it's good to see more of that. But also, how do you keep writing all of this stuff and not being like, yeah, nah, it's EU5, like estates and governments and all this, it's just so on the nose, but we move. So we have the pashas here. I guess this is for the Ottomans. They had pashas. The nobles' power is minus 100% and less unrest. Okay. Crown power is an thing. 10% extra crown power. And progress to aristocracy. Interesting. So crown power maybe is something that we're going to see replacing mana. Because we do know for a fact that this game does not have what Johan would consider mana. He's already said very definitively that it won't have it. And now everyone's definition of mana is different, but from Johan's mouth, he does not consider the likes of Prestige and Piety in Crusader Kings to be mana. So you can sort of see where on the scale he sits with that one. So we're not going to have mana, but we do need some kind of system to determine what the player is able to do. And I really quite like the political influence system in Imperial Rome, whereby you have a bunch of advisors and how loyal they are to you determines how much political influence ticks up. And maybe we could be seeing something similar in EU5, and for monarchy at least, it might be called crown power. And I'm excited about that. I hope that is what we're looking at here. As time passes, different government reforms and reform slots will be available. They can also be based on tag culture and religion. So what we have here is peasants' power, peasant estate satisfaction equilibrium, and monthly progress to serfdom. Okay, are we seeing here progress to aristocracy, progress to serfdom, progress to free subjects? Are we seeing here like government technologies? Are we advancing from what we are into serfdom or something along those lines? But yeah, different government reforms and slots will be available based on tag culture and religion, and also just what kind of government you are. But we're seeing, obviously, we've got the estates here, right? We're going to see a peasant estate, we're going to see a noble estate, and how much power they're getting. So maybe the crown is actually the crown estate. instead of just having crown land in EU4, they're actually an estate. Could be interesting. Something that is different from a reform is what we call a law. A law can have several different policies you can pick from, and several laws have unique policies only available to certain tags, religions, cultures, government types, or other factors. There are some drawbacks to adding new reforms or policies, though. It takes a few years for it to have full effect. Okay, so that may be what we're seeing, is serfdom and free subjects is a law, and you're progressing through it at a reasonably slow pace. 1% per year. Obviously, it's a little bit more than 1% a year, but roughly a percent a year. We're going to be looking at maybe 80 years if it stays at this level to get to 100%. So that's kind of slow. It takes a few years. Maybe there is other things that speed it up this is just an additional doodad. Depending on your country's admin efficiency. Oh, okay. We have it in another game, but apparently it might be something different. Okay. Regularly, if your government allows it, you can call in a parliament. If you don't do it often enough, the estates will start to get irritated. But parliament has issues that need to be resolved, and the estates will have agendas they want done for sport. Of course, you also have options to push through what you want from a parliament if you're willing to accept the demands of the estate, like changing a particular law. This is very... I mean, obviously we have Parliament in EU4, which I really dislike the mechanics of. But calling Parliament annoying the estate is interesting. I guess the nobles don't like that their power is being given to people who are elected, potentially. But I don't know, if you're a noble, just get elected to Parliament, and then it's fine. Don't worry about it. Another part of the government is the cabinet, which also grows in size as you become more advanced, allowing you to do more things. Something can be viewed as a hybrid between EU4 advisors and CK2 council actions. Okay, boom. Or imperator government thingy with your 8 advisor people. Is this what we're seeing? The cabinet being a thing is... saying it's like EU4 advisors and CK2 council actions, I suppose that's kind of the same as... Imperators, Imperators thing could also be described as this. I feel like that might be what we're seeing here. That excites me. That does excite me. Some of you may remember the domestic policies from EU2 and EU3. In Project Caesar, we're bringing the idea back in the form of societal values. I'm sorry. Yes, we're talking about EU2, EU3, bringing the idea back. In what? Because it can't be EU4 because it's already out. So is it EU5? This dancing around the name is very funny to me. And I have seen some people say the reason they're not announcing it is because they're going to change the name and it's not going to be called Europa Universalis. And they're going to change the name from Europa Universalis because it's very Eurocentric and not... Honestly, I've seen people say it's not, politically correct to say that anymore. And it's all this... utter nonsense. And to that, I will say, well, firstly, it's utter nonsense. And two, the IP for Europa Universalis is incredibly strong. The brand is very strong. So, willingly throwing that away for the scruples of a minority of people is not something I see them doing. This is not going to be EU5 in a fancy dress. It's just not going to happen. But yeah, we're bringing back things from EU2 and EU3 in not EU5. It's just funny. There are 7 we took from the games, 1 that was split in 2, and we added 4 new ones, bringing a total of 13 different societal values. Primarily affected by what other actions you like to do. You do, like what policies you pick in a law, or reforms you pick. As with many other things in the game, it's not an instant action, but a gradual change over time. So this is EU3, I believe. And we can see the domestic policies here with sliders. We do like sliders here. I'm a big fan of sliders. I want to see more of them. I'm not sure if we're gonna get sliders because every time it's brought up, Johan is not exactly favourable to the idea of them. But hey, maybe. But next we're going to be talking more about estates, and you know what? I'm gonna have me a love heart react on that one because. Look, if we didn't know already from the previous dev diary, this kind of does seal it for me that it's EU5. Like, I was already like 99% certain. Now I'm like 99.5% certain. So there's only so much more certainty I can get. And yeah, that's basically where I'm at. Okay, and before we leave, I just want to show map again because map fun, map good. We have here, obviously I said about the borders that we can see here, and I would just like to show you a couple of images that I've found about, time lapses through history of various nations. So firstly, this is 1340s Roman Empire. I absolutely hate that they call it Byzantine, but whatever. The Roman Empire. We have the very southern tip of the Peloponnese. Like I said, Philadelphia over here. Lesvos is controlled. This one's Lesvos. This one's... No, this one's... whatever. Either way, a bunch of the islands are controlled, but whatever. And this very... across these mountains here is actually the Kingdom of Epirus, which was a vassal state at this point. So whether that's going to be, maybe this map is just showing that it's controlled, but it is technically a vassal state, or it should be at this point anyway. But if we go and have a look at the map here, the borders sort of very nicely fit into that situation. Got this area down here. Here is Philadelphia. We've got the vassal state of Epirus here. It's reasonably close, and in green here I've circled what I think is going to be the Ottoman Empire. I'm trying to figure out when this was conquered from the Romans. I'm not finding any very specific dates, but maybe that's just me not having looked for long enough. There's also the city of Biga here, which came under Ottoman rule in 1360s, so I think this is not really relevant. It's also not Roman. I think it was... Honestly, I can't remember what it was. And the Wikipedia page does not really say much about it. It just says, when it was conquered, but not who owned it before that. So... yeah, it certainly wasn't conquered from the Romans in 1364 because, they died in 1453. So, I don't know. Oh, wait, 1364, not 1464. Okay, so 1364, it could still be Roman then. Actually, no, I'm just dumb. It could definitely still be Roman. Okay, so if we go back to this could still be Roman. So we've I wouldn't say we've narrowed it down to before 1364, because we already had narrowed it down before then, but it's giving more clues, for sure. I'm just going to have to look up more about, it's like Chalcedon, but Chalcedon is also like this whole range, so I'm not sure. I'm gonna have to look into that, but not today. I'm gonna be doing that in the week between now and when I next make a video. But yeah, for now I'm going to end this one here by saying it's EU5. Of course it's EU5. What? Come on, now, let's be honest. It's EU5. I also just want to point out impassable areas on the map are something I really, really, really like. Playing over here is actually going to be quite difficult to be conquered because you've got lots of mountain passes blocking enemy movement. It's just going to be so nice. Invading this area is going to be agony, and that's exactly how it should be. More of this, please. I like the. I mean, look at the Cappadocian Mountains. Like, look at this. Look, it's so nice. I enjoy it. In Greece as well. I like this a lot. I like this an awful lot. So, yeah, let me know what you guys think as well. Have you got any date guesses that we can really pinpoint what we're looking at here from looking at the maps? I'd be very interested to hear your thoughts. Is there something I'm overlooking? Because, I mean, that's entirely possible. So let me know in the comments section below, and I will see you in the next one. I will also be doing tomorrow a return of the No CB cast. I'm going to be doing a little podcast about Tinto Talks with Leanna Hafer and Father Loris. So I will make sure to put links to that in places where they should be. And yeah, until then, I will see you later. Bye bye.